Hi everyone, my name is Eli and I chose Charlene Von Hale for my artist to do the presentation on. So a little bit of background on the artist. She was born in Germany in 1960. So she's in her early 60s now. She's known for her contemporary abstract art. She currently works out of New York. A while back, she actually split her time between New York and Texas, which I thought was pretty cool. And then her artistic style is really eclectic. There are some consistent themes. She's known for having very bold, bright colors, a lot of contrast in her works, a lot of movements, particularly contrast between really broad brushstroke movements compared to really fine, delicate movements. She is both a painter and a printmaker. So in this photo, she's working on an etching, but I'll be focusing on a lot of her paintings. But I thought it was cool that she's a printmaker because that's something that I'm also interested in. So the first painting of hers that I really liked was this one, and it's called Long Swim Home Girl. And part of the reason I chose to present on her is because I have never done a presentation or really looked a lot at an abstract painter before, and so I was looking for inspiration, and her color palette in this painting really appeals to me. I really like how she has the very muted blue, which is a contrast with the black and white, and then she's got that like neon yellow and orange checkerboard pattern in the background of her painting. Something that I like about a lot of her paintings is a contrast between more geometric or linear shapes and then more organic forms. So in this particular work, you obviously see the checkerboard pattern, you see the darker green stripes in the background, the black stripes, and then the drips of paint that go vertically down the canvas provide another contrast. And then the figure of the girl in the foreground of the painting is very curved in comparison with all of the stripes, as well as the other object in the background that has, it kind of looks like a duck to me. I'm not sure if that's what it's supposed to be, but a lot of the figures in her paintings remind me of birds or bird-like creatures, and that's one of the ones that does. This is not a painting, so this is an Aqua Tint. I chose to include it because the color that she used is red, and I have struggled a lot with using red in my paintings, and so I was really interested to see like a successful example that resonated with me of an artist making a work that was predominantly red. So here, while the piece is red and does have a lot of movement, it doesn't strike me as grotesque the way a lot of red paintings do, and so that kind of caught my attention, and I think the reason why is the type of red that she's using is very bright. It doesn't have a more burgundy bluish tone. It's a lighter, brighter, a little bit more orangey red, and the way that she has incorporated the lighter circles and semicircles and other just varieties of small etch marks in the pinkish color also help to make the image, while like very eye-catching and startling a bit, not grotesque or disturbing looking. So I really liked this Aqua Tint as an example of using the color red and making something that was bold without coming across as grotesque. She also has a bottle of wine in the corner of this, so the small contrast of a different shape, different color does help as well. So I definitely was inspired looking at the way she's arranged the color in the shapes, both the positive and the negative spaces throughout this piece. I really enjoy, like, if I can just block out the red, looking at the white shapes that are left blank and seeing how they really complement the shapes that are in red. This is one of her paintings that combines acrylic and oil on linen. A lot of her paintings combined acrylic and oil. There were some that were more mixed media using, I think I have an example later on of one that uses charcoal and spray paint as well. You can see this also has another bird-like creature and a female face. Something I really enjoy about this painting is the sharp contrast, again, between the very crisp black line of the bird silhouette and then the yellow background, and even how the yellow in the background is divided between a more muted yellow that leans a bit green and then the yellow that has the orange stripes and the black marks that resemble spray paint or graffiti. Another thing I really like about her work is the collage style. Collage is something I'm really interested in, and I've enjoyed looking at a lot of examples of her, especially her more recent paintings, like the ones that were in the 2015 and on, have this more collage style. And I've not seen an example before of someone who makes a painting look like it was a collage. So to me, part of what makes that successful in this piece, and you can also see a similar effect here back in this Long Swim Home Girl, is her use of the white shapes, which kind of there's like, she leaves white that extends past the black outline of the shapes, and that sort of makes it look like the shape was cut out of paper and pasted on top of the painting, and I think that's a really cool effect. And then she's got the brighter colors tend to be right on top of that white, which it kind of reminds me of collages like that kids do, and it gives a sort of liveliness to her paintings, and I really like the contrast of, in the right hand foreground of the painting, that white piece that looks like it has doodles on it, compared to the sort of graffiti style in the background, which looks a lot more intimidating. That contrast between like carefree youthfulness and more like rebellious youthfulness, I think is really cool, and the way she hybridizes them in her work is very inspiring for me. This painting I really liked because of the color palette and, again, the collage style painting. A lot of her themes seem to be naturalistic, but she combines them in a way that makes them seem pieced together after the fact, or more bold. They don't really look like nature scenes, but I see a lot of natural colors, and this, there's sort of a crescent moon shape, and then it looks like, pieces of different animals that were incorporated into this piece. And this is the one that had the spray paint and the charcoal. And then this painting was also acrylic and oil on canvas. This one was probably the best example in her work that I found of movement with like the contrast. So she's got the really broad sections of the light yellow and the coral color, and then on top of that she's layered this brown vine, which is very carefully painted and just seems to be crawling and climbing all over the solid colors in the background. And I really like the way that she's combined the movements of those two, the more flat like spilling movement of her colors, her lighter colors, and then the very precise movement of those vines, because the way they're placed definitely looks like they are moving up. And it gives the whole painting a sort of sense of a valley or a mountain, where the center of the painting looks like it's in a hollow area or a valley, and then the yellow part seems to rise up out of that. And she's even got this small, in the top right hand side, it looks like a horse or a fox or some kind of animal that the vines have turned into and is running off of the painting. So that also creates a really cool sense of movement. Takeaways for me from her art were the size of her canvas. You can see all the sizes, they're big, and that's something I'd like to experiment with more, to kind of become more willing to take on the risks of abstract art. Is I've noticed that a lot of the artists use a much larger size canvas. And then another takeaway for me is the outlining of her shapes to create contrast. This Lost Keeper is a really good example of that, with the bright white collage-like pieces, but then she's gone back and it looks like maybe that was the part of the spray paint outline those in a contrasting color. And then you can see the same again with this first piece here. So overall, her work was really cool. I really enjoyed looking at it, and it was definitely inspiring for me, thinking about doing the thematic exploration in the next couple weeks. Thank you.